Hey everybody, gonna be adjusting the camera here. Gonna be sharing this over with the page as always, and we got Skeletor and SnakeMountain on the board today. So bear with me just a second, and here we go. Maybe. Okay, coming at you with Skeletor and SnakeMountain. Finally, thank you very much. So I'm gonna adjust some light here so I can actually see this. There we go. All right. Now, as you can see, this is a little different than the He-Man that I did yesterday, that I finished up yesterday, because I wanted to do something more dynamic with Skeletor and not have him just be, eek, so this is what we got. I got him here in the foreground holding his staff. There's the big ram skull or whatever that thing is, and there's SnakeMountain, eek in the background, so there we go. And eek is a technical term, so eek, So that's where we're at. But I'm going to start off with this skull on the staff and, get this headpiece going right in here. Get my blotter up here because I know this is a lot of graphite and I don't want to ruin the maximum effort of the image with smudging it in. So it's going to be pretty cool. I figured out the time on these. I got asked yesterday what is the average time that I have in on these. And to answer that question for the card's sake, I put in about a half an hour with you guys because of the fact that I, talk and hang out and whatever, answer questions and kind of pace through it a little bit to give you a little bit of an insight on what's going on and give you a little time to see the magic happen. But I average about 20 to 30 minutes on these. And with this being a 4-card setup, everybody asked me, how long it took for the He-Man piece. And I have right at 2 hours into it. And the reason for that is because of the fact that I have 4 cards on that section. And I don't think I'm going to have 4 hours into this one. I don't know yet. I hope not, because of the fact that I really want to keep these moving. And I don't like going on that long. But, we'll see how it goes. But I enjoy hanging out with you guys. So, if it does run over, I'm okay with that, as long as you guys are. And as long as you're having a good time with it, we'll go from there. Got to adjust that light a little bit. I'm blinding myself. I put larger lamps on the desk and ended up with the bulbs being a little bright. And my eyes are strained for some reason. I'm thinking it's allergies, but, I'm not much of a whiny person when I get sick. I keep it to myself. But in this case, I think what I've got going on here is a little bit of allergy issue. Certain range depth are a little blurry to me right now. And I kind of watch that stuff because I'm hesitant to fool around with that stuff because I'm diabetic. And, anytime it starts, my sight starts to haggle and starts to play games with me, I pay close attention to it. It's like, hey, stop that. So, that is what it is at this point. But still, I'm very cautious about that because I don't want anything to get mucked up. It's hard to draw when you can't see. Just saying. I'm gonna leave this little ridge here for like what a yak or a ram does. They have that little chewing ridge right there, and it's not necessarily teeth. It's just one big ridged row. So maybe it is teeth. I don't know. I'm not a vet. I don't know, but they have this ridge that goes across here and it's got ribs on it, so I'm guessing it's teeth, but I never really paid that much attention to the animals, even in my my younger years when I was around my granddad's farm all the time, we did, we had the closest thing we had to that was goats. But I didn't go sticking my fingers in their mouth to check stuff out. They had a tendency to bite. But whatever works, I suppose. But yeah, I'm going to start off with this ram on this staff here, so we have that out of the way. It's a weird critter, whatever it is. Definitely a weird critter. Okay. Kind of put a sub ridge right here so it looks like it's sticking out there and protruding a little more. It's funny. All you doing this kind of stuff and everybody's like, hey, and they pop on to check it out, and then they figure out it's a big card, and they're like, hey, I'm out of here. So, like I said, I hope I don't have to run on that long, because I would like to get about 30 or 40 minutes into this and move on from there. But whatever it takes, I'll make sure you guys get a big portion of this on here. That thing is really creepy. That ram head is just unbelievably creepy. Now, the cool thing about Skeletor was it took a lot of craft work to make him have an expression with it being a skull, because the skull doesn't move. I'm wondering how they're going to be able to do that in the movie. Of course, they did that really well with Ghost Rider, so maybe we won't have that problem. I mean, they made him emote really well. It was through body language, pretty much, with Nick Cage's Elvis impersonations, but I was a fan of that. I dug it. I liked the Ghost Rider films. The villains were what was horrible in the Ghost Rider films. I actually liked the Ghost Rider effects. I enjoyed Nick Cage, Elvis impressions and all. I really liked the side cast, but the villains and the effects for the villains is what made Ghost Rider so bad for me, in my personal opinion. I mean, it was just awful. And they just got worse and worse as they went along. And, the elementals and whatnot, they were just, oh, it was awful. So I wasn't impressed. But I'm not the one to impress with that, because it's one of those things, I'm kind of finicky and hardcore about that anyway. Because I'm a purist for the comics. So if they go too far off the reservation, I'm out anyway. As far as Marvel goes, anyhow. The Disney Marvel run hasn't been too bad. I like those films so far. They're a little predictable, but they are what they are. And that's one thing DC has with their movie universe over Marvel, is the fact that there's definitely no telling what they're going to do. As far as that goes, there's absolutely no telling what they're going to do. I think that's part of what makes DC's films stand out so much. You know, you don't know what you're going to get. I'm not saying either's better than the other. I'm just saying they're different. They're just very different. That's all I'm saying. I don't want people to be freaking out about it. Brad said he doesn't like DC and he doesn't like Marvel. No. I'm not saying that at all. Don't be sarcastic. So I think I'm going to start cutting in. Instead of cutting in his hand, I think I'm going to skip over to the face a little bit and start giving you guys a little more of the cool stuff that you want to see, which is the Skeletor. And then when we get into a little more of this and I beef this up a little bit, I will go in and go back to that and start lining out the bone more of the way that I will be doing Skeletor, where it's a little more dimensional, a little more dynamic. Because it's hard to draw an organic skull and make it anatomically correct and then make it express and emote like a mask or a face. It's very complex to do that. You have to use like the ridges for brows instead of, you know, and ridge the bone so that you can get that effect rather than messing with having actual eyebrows. Which is odd. And like this ridge coming out here for the bone, that gives it that facial reach like we like to see for the face, instead of it just going flat out and going off the deep end. Because Skeletor doesn't have an exact skull anyway. He has a really big ridge across his mouth where his teeth are, and the reason for that is so that he can, one, so they designed him so he could emote, and two, so that he had teeth going back to fill in the side profiles and stuff when he was talking. Like this right here will come down, and this will stay back up underneath a little bit to show that it's there, but it won't come out as far. And that's how we get that mouth look. Like he has the ability to emote. Put the top of the jaw joint that goes behind that ridge right there, because it goes up behind the eye where your temple and your ear are and all that. And I want to make sure that he has that look. I know it's not showing up just yet, but bear with me. It will. It'll pop off. And it will be there. It will be there. And Skeletor has fangs too. But in this case, I'm not going to put those in. I'm going to leave it squared off. And the reason I wanted to do that is so that I could go ahead and draw on that jawline and not really have to mess with it. So that I could give him the big game show teeth so that he will show up. Because when he talks, he doesn't have those fangs. He talks in the show, he doesn't have those fangs. And now we'll black this in. Run that ridge right across there. Show that other side because that gap is still there no matter what. And there we go. He's starting to come along. Now, I made his nose a little big because of the fact that he has a larger nose, believe it or not. It's not a normal socket. It is actually very, very massive in comparison to what would be a normal skull. And I don't know why they did that for the most part, but I thought it looked kind of cool and made him look a little different. So, hey, there we go. Maybe it's an Eternia thing. I don't know. I just thought he looked cool with the bigger nose socket. And a matter of fact, now that I look at it, I'm not digging it as much. And I think I'm going to shrink it just for sake of argument. Because I like the more demonic, slimmer look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slim that down. Because he does have a bigger nose for the most part, but I don't like it, so I'm going to shrink it. There we go. This is my version of Skeletor. So there we go. That fits a little more. It fits a little better. Going to go ahead and put in that shroud or that hood that he's known for. Go ahead and line that in. I'm trying to make him not look like, I'm trying to make him look like Skeletor and not look like something out of an 80s heavy metal or death metal band video. So, because I really don't want to do that. I don't want him to have that Reaper look. I want him to have the look of Skeletor as he's supposed to for the character that I'm drawing. I know a lot of people are going to be upset with that and not like that as much, but that's what I'm after. I'm after that classic Skeletor look, not so much the death head business. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just not the look that I'm going for. I gave him really massive eye sockets too, because they have to be they have to emote. So, like I said, I'll black some of this out so we get the full look going on. Kind of lightly cut some of this out, and I'll refine that hood edge here shortly. Now there's going to be a light from down here because of the slope. There we go. So we'll see a little light in the bottom of that hood. I'll detail that in a few minutes. Pretty cool. Very cool, very cool. Okay, I'm gonna put in some more of this this hood or shroud, whatever you want to call it. I should call it a hood because it's not the full shroud. Because depending on what he's doing, it determines whether he has a cape or not. And I always find that funny too, because he always has the hood on, but sometimes he has the cape, sometimes he doesn't. And it just depends. And in this case, I didn't give him the cape, which I probably could have, and copped out for a bunch of that, you know, that backdrop. But I didn't do that. Dang it. You mean I could have avoided drawing all that stuff, man? So, anyway, all joking aside, though, I think it's cool. And I don't want to go off and cop out on a card. I love doing these things. And I want to make sure that it's all in there. So, let's see where we're at. I'm gonna put in that hand here. Big old gnarly boss thumb. I know that's a little scratchy right now, but I'm trying to lay a line here without this card getting hung, so that's the reason why for that. So bear with me, bear with me. Some people would be like, that's a huge thumb. Yeah. Actually, it is. Kirby Squiggle. There we go. I told you I was going to do it. I warned you. There you go. I don't want to over-decorate this thing because I don't want to go make it look semi-realistic and lose the nostalgic feel of the character. Because a lot of people like to go over the top with these things, and I do not want to do that. I do not. Blunting those big old knuckles back there so they don't look too close in the foreground in comparison to the middle knuckles right here, which are actually closer to us. Give him an action figure hand here. Going in off the knuckle, giving that little pudge of hand back fat right there that goes down around. Come in here, give him the knuckle, give him a little crease in the finger. Go down around here because there's another knuckle down here where the hand folds, down around it. Got to put that in there. Another curvy squiggle right in there. Put the top ridge on there. Squiggle. And there we go. Creepy Skeletor hand. Did we all follow along, class? Okay. All joking aside. Something else I wanted to do was make sure that this was, I had to tilt this over. I wanted to make sure it was going to go the right direction. Build that out a little. Because when I originally did it, I had the base going just a little bit. So I had to straighten that up. That's why I waited to draw the back of the hand all the way up to the hilt. So that it would look like it's at least the same object. You improvise sometimes to compensate for stuff like that. So, all right, here comes in the shoulder. Now I know that's going to be funky looking for a second, but he's like, that shoulder's small, man. No. It's okay. That's just part of it. Because there's going to be a dark side right here. We're just going to go down into the bicep right before he comes off with this right back here. Now, if you don't know what that is, that's that little, one of the little leather frayed strips. I don't know what they're called properly, but that's one of the little strips that goes across his shoulder. And they have these little buttons on them right at the end, these little metal knobs. So that's what that is. And I'm not going to make it fray behind because of the way the shoulder's shot. He's pushing his arm out, so the hood would keep those back behind where the chest piece is, right over the ridge of the shoulder right here where it meets into the pectoral muscle. So that's why that is like that. Now what will happen is this will come down and around, boom, right up here. And there's the chest plate. And then, because these straps go underneath, that strap will come down first. And come back up here underneath the bones. Right through here in the middle. And that chest plate kind of wraps down underneath here, so I need to correct that first. This is very, very technical. It's very technical, very technical. So, anyway. I just kind of copped out on that one. I will admit, I kind of went the old cartoon dog style bone like they do. Rather than drawing the real bones all in there and, you know, the detail and all that. And the reason is because it's not really drawn out that way for the design. You know, these bones that he has on his chest are kind of like not real bone, but more die cast than anything else. And they're not really all about being real bone. Looks more like a dog's chew toy to me, but it is what it is. So, with that said, I'll go ahead and draw in this chest piece. And I could be really cool about it and make this more dynamic and cut little divots out where those bones go under, you know, into it rather than underneath it, but I'm not. I'm going to go exactly how it goes for the cartoon and what the original design was, which was to have this kind of thing come out this way. And the reason I'm doing them like this is that I don't want them to look like you know, abstract anything else, because I know people are going to have fun with that, and we're keeping it G-rated here, people. Because I know some of the kids already are making jokes about this, and I'll tell you why. It's because I being a guy, I used to make those same jokes, you know, and now as a grown man, I think they're ridiculous. But the thing is, kids like to make jokes like that. Let's not and say we didn't. But anyway, I'm putting some of the ridges on there because I want them to look like bone, because I don't know what type of bone they came from. Like I said, other than them looking for like a chew toy kind of thing, I wanted to keep them very simple and very reminiscent of what they were. And yes, I know these are scratchy, but the thing is, I want them scratchy because I want it to look rough, at least for the moment. Now I want this to look like leather, so I'm going to put in a divot here, but I'm not going to put in a hardcore cut. I want it to look molded, I want it to look molded and pressed, not literally form fitted, because then it doesn't look right. And I know a lot of people like to do that, and instead of making it look like pressed armor, it tends to make it look like a thicker leather jumpsuit that's cut and ribbed, and that's not cool, because that's not what Skeletor wears. That's not what the character had on. I'm going to show just a little bit of that lip as it goes back up the other direction and then folds back around, so we won't see that. We won't see that under ridge. Yeah, that came out all right. Okay, now I'm going to pop in these shoulder pieces like I did on the other side. Because that one stands up really high in the middle. And the second one in the front and the third one in the back, not so much. It's got kind of a horn thing going on. That button right there. And then we'll draw just a little bit of the ridge of the third one like it's turned away from us. So we'll have that little right there, like that. So you can see that piece in the back, just barely. Now what we'll have going on is the rest of the pec. Right down there, we'll draw in that belt first. And then we'll draw in the rest of the chest and whatnot. Now, they never say if that's Skeletor's skin or if that's Skeletor's suit, the blue. So I don't know if he's shirtless like He-Man is, or if he's got a blue bodysuit. It doesn't really ever say. But, you know, in the new version that they did, he was blue-skinned. But in the original, it doesn't ever say. So I always found it fascinating to see the composition of what these people were made of, because of the fact that his bone was bright yellow, you know, and his skin was blue. So what goes on there, you know what I mean? And because we don't know, when he's got abs cut in like just no tomorrow, I'm going to put in cartoon style abs, so we have that going on. Put in the oblique with the simple line, but what I'll do is I'll draw the abs in not uniform, so they'll look a little different, to make him look a little more I don't know, just a little different, as it were. Because my abs aren't even like that. When I flex my stomach, you can tell that I'm one of those people that has the abs that are just a little off, and that's one of those things. They're all there, but they tend to flex just a little different. And the funny thing is, everybody thinks that's abnormal, but in reality is that's more the norm because they're individual muscles. So if you go to all the trouble to get a six-pack and you find out you got offset abs, there's not really anything you can do about it. But know that it's not abnormal. Pardon the pun. Parum-pum. So. And not that I've got a six-pack or anything crazy like that. I like to, I'm a foodie. I like to eat. Not that I'm a big guy or anything. It's just, I like carbs too much to get that ripped. I starve myself for no one. However, my diabetes does keep me back on that. I have to admit that. The old diabetes bandwagon will definitely keep you on there. It'll keep you on the old carbs, the old carb train, to do it right and stay away from the bad ones. That is, if you want to live to see past 70. Because you make it to 69, 60, 67, 68, 69, right around in there. That's pretty much the stop point before something fails out on you, if you keep it going that much. I talk to people about that all the time. Don't do that. Stay off the sugar, stay off the carbs, stay off the bad fats. I don't want to watch anybody suffer the way I've seen people go down that road too many times. But let's see. I'm drawing the ridge of this arm here, and I'm going to shadow this side. That's why it looks weird like that, because he has massive arms like He-Man does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shade that in, and that'll make a curve to that bicep, and that'll make the back of the arm and the tricep pop out. But I want to, you know what, I'm going to do that right now. That'll make that pop up. Because his arms go way down here by his waist anyway, and they have really short torsos. If you notice, I drew them true to form too, because I drew the abs should go off screen or off card, but I made them, they're very blunted in their torso, and I wanted it to look right so that he could have this big rib diaphragm edge right here that they all have. And it's hard to draw them any other way because of the fact that, unless you just totally create your own body form for them, it's kind of hard to draw them any way close to what they actually look like in the series, because they're based off of Mattel's toy design. And that's the way the animators did them. They used those references, and everybody looked like a wrestler back then, and everybody looked like an action figure. And that was the reason for that, is because of the fact that they were designed by action figure designs. So Just FYI. Whenever you think about those old cartoons from Mattel and, you know, Transformers and He-Man and all that, they were designed because of that in mind. Even when they came about, they were made by toy makers. The Silverhawks and the Thundercats as well, they were designed for the cartoon, and then the toys were made off of that, but they had to make the molds match up with whatever was reminiscent at the time to the toys that they were producing. Because they didn't want to make toys that didn't look the same. I mean, you can imagine the kids' surprise if they went to their favorite toy store and then there was, boom, you know, He-Man, and he looked nothing like he did in the cartoon. You know how those cheap toys look. They, you know, if you don't match them up to what you're doing, it'll look rough. Let's see here. I'm going to knock some more of this out, just a couple more minutes, and then I'm going to call it a day on this one for part 1, because I don't want to keep going on with this for another hour, like I said. I don't want you guys to have to stick it out, because we can do Snake Mountain and finish up the detailing on here tomorrow for part 2. And I'm not going to get into the habit of doing these big cards because I like doing the little ones so I can knock them out. But this special set, I wanted to end this set with this kind of thing so that we could see it and have you guys get the full look of what's going on. Okay. Right here. I really like doing that little ridge right there at the bottom of the nose here. They tried to do that in the movie to make it to hide the actor's nose. And if you ever saw the original Masters of the Universe film, they did that with the makeup on the actor so that they could hide the ridge of his nose, and it didn't pan out. it just didn't make it. So cut this a different way so it shows up right there. There we go. Cool deal. Now underneath this jaw right here, I'll go in from that angle so it pops out a little. I won't do that side just yet. Because unlike stone, we want the bone to look a little different. Because yes, it's porous, but it's not as aggressively carved. Okay, cool deal. Go in here, put a little wear and tear on his teeth. Like I said, we don't want to go to a death metal thing, so I'm going to kind of be gentle with these. Okay, there we go. Now, like I said, I'll start shadowing and grooming this up tomorrow because I'll draw this in real quick because it's in the background and it's small. We'll go from there, and then I'll flesh out the ram head, put in the lines for it and all that good stuff, and we'll go from there. But I thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it, as always. And I'm going to get in here and start mapping some of this out a little bit. But we will be back tomorrow to finish this up. And this will be the last one for the He-Man set before I go live this weekend with the Kickstarter for Lone Rider Frontier Galaxy #1 and the sketchbook for you guys. Finally, Facebook has stopped giving me trouble. Thank goodness. I hope it continues to hold up. And these are coming out really well. And then on top of that, I've got Kickstarter approval going on. So we've got the preview coming up, which has taken forever since they changed their policies to match Indiegogo. If you guys don't know about that, read your policies before you get involved with crowdfunding, because Kickstarter and Indiegogo have changed their policies now to who they're dealing with for merchant accounts and merchant verification and stuff, and they're updating it for next year under the new laws, the new internet laws and all that. And be sure that you follow what's going on and know where you're at, because if you start a campaign and then some of those things go active and you don't know it, they will keep your funds. They will keep them, and they will throw back everything that you've done so far. So it will be a total waste of time. Do not get caught up in that mess. Pay close attention to what you're doing. Pay close attention to what you're doing in your campaign, who's doing what on your merchant account end and all that as well, because they will bite you in the butt big time. Big time. I've seen so many people having trouble with that right now, and it's because of the fact that they changed policy and they go, well, we can't pay you now, even though you got funded, we can't pay you. And I'm seeing it more and more. So protect yourself, be very careful and cautious about that, and do your homework. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Remember, be out there, be nice, smile at somebody, share something, share a hi, share a good job, do something for the community, not competition. You know, it's always community over competition with me, plain and simple. Get out there, be nice, help show somebody some support, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much. Talk to you later.